Live on digital media from the vast and spacious VPod TV studios in beautiful Oak Brook, Illinois. A town so bad, it has its own terrace. Yeah, does your town have a terrace? It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend, Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, former Liberty Magazine editor and Breitbart contributor, Tim Slagle. This week's very special guest, WCPT evening host, Patti Vasquez. And now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Bruce Wolf.
Details still emerging on this, but from what we understand, there was at least one explosion, as you say, close to the Abbey Gate entrance to the airport. Both British and American, as well as other international troops, had been stationed there. Large crowds of desperate Afghans had also been there trying to get inside the airport. Now, also getting reports that there was a second explosion close by, close to the secure compound where those being evacuated by the British embassy were being taken to.
All right, so how do I open the show after that? With our usual...
You're supposed to knock on the wall.
Yeah, right. My usual shtick lock. It's time for Bruce Wolf and knock knock Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. No, I should do more like a, take my glasses off Walter Cronkite moment here. I mean, it's horrible. I mean, today's the day, and of course, we don't know when people are actually going to see this or hear this because it's a TV show / podcast, and reminds me of when I worked for the Lerner newspapers, the world's largest community newspaper chain in the suburbs of Chicago. You actually heard of it? Okay. And, it was a weekly newspaper, but we treated it like it was a daily, and so we'd cram in the news that we had just gotten, but it doesn't work. So I don't know. Anyway, it's a horrible day because, for the first time since February of 2020, we lost soldiers in Afghanistan, and who the heck knows what's going to happen. I do understand that Joe Biden today, who knows, his story may change tomorrow when he gets a different narrative given in front of him, was asked a question by Peter Doocy, who's said, do you take responsibility? And he said he did. So, that's the first time I think Joe Biden's ever taken responsibility for anything. Usually he spins some kind of yarn, and then Mr. Wizard goes twism, twasm, twasm, twom, time for this one to go home. But yeah, and now, the facts are coming at you so furiously. I confess, I didn't even know what ISIS-K was until about 20 minutes ago. It's not a breakfast cereal.
Sounds to me more like an arthritis medication.
Yeah, right, that they sell on Fox,
ICK.
Right. So it's, no, but supposedly, if you follow this, we're going to partner with the Taliban. They're our partners.
Yeah.
Okay. And against ISIS-K. But don't they realize that we're not that stupid? They're fungible. ISIS-K is Taliban, is Al-Qaeda. They're all either in charge or housing the other one and supporting them to become terrorists and launch attacks against us. And now all of a sudden, these are our partners. They're the worst human beings on the planet. They can't be your partners, the Taliban.
Well, except for Packers fans.
Well, enough said. Now we're on the Weekly Wrap. Oh yeah, Justin Fields. Do you think he's going to play? No. It's just we give the names of our people to the Taliban. You can't trust them. But Joe Biden it reminds me, and I wish I could, I think it was Castro, I'm pretty sure it was a New York Times reporter, a credulous New York Times reporter. He marched a bunch of soldiers through a tent to show how many people that he had, and he kept marching the same soldiers in a circular thing,
kind of like Fred Flintstone's house.
So he kept marching, so that the reporter thought that he had all these people, all these soldiers, and they'll buy anything, and we'll buy anything here. We're working. Chris, am I right? Was that the story that we're working with the Taliban right now? I'm not really sure.
The Taliban is committed to helping us with our goal. And they said, well, what's our goal? Leaving the country by August 31st.
Yeah, right. Sure.
It's like, okay, my landlord has offered to help me with my goal. What's your goal?
Do you notice that in the last couple of days, the State Department was blaming the people who were there for not leaving because they covered their tuchuses, as we say in military parlance, and saying, "Oh, we warned them 19 times that they should leave the country." Of course, they didn't offer them Krispy Kremes if they left the country. Did you see that with that's what was Krispy Kreme offered if you got vaccinated? You can get like 2 donuts a day for 5 days or whatever, so that you become obese, and then you're even a greater candidate for COVID. But so, yeah, but if he, excuse me, we. Let me put my Walter Cronkite glasses on so I could read the note that was given to me. Yes, we have news from our correspondent, Clarissa Ward of CNN. Clarissa?
The injured this couple suddenly shouts behind us. A vehicle speeds through.
That's a newborn baby that just flew past in that vehicle. That was a newborn. Did you see the baby? It was this big.
Yeah. I mean, well, of course, the sight of babies being tossed over barbed wire to soldiers. So these are the lasting images. That and the guy in the
did the baby actually fly past?
I don't know.
It looked like it was riding in a jeep.
Yeah. Now
I know there've been babies flying.
I'm not the one that's going to say, because I think this is no time for levity. But a producer who shall remain nameless, Chris, said that Clarissa Ward looks much better with the hijab on, and it's inviting, it's seductive. You don't know what's underneath, and you find out what's underneath. And
I think there was like a Bugs Bunny cartoon, a Tex Avery Bugs Bunny cartoon like that. It's beautiful,
right.
Woman with beautiful eyes, and the mask would come off,
and then it's Yosemite Sam underneath. Is that what it is? That's a joke, son. Oh no, wait, that's Foghorn Leghorn. Do you think the American people actually have an appetite to? Chris told me before today. I said, "Well, I'm going to lead with Afghanistan." He said, "Oh, that's boring." I mean, are we going to be over this because our attention spans are so short? I mean, I can't even read a tweet thread.
Certainly, there's hope. I mean, when Joe Biden was interviewed and they asked him about the Afghanis clinging to the plane, he was like, that was 5 days ago.
Right.
It's like, what do you? That's old news. What at this point? What difference does it make?
Exactly. But they all already are saying that this is our Benghazi. Oh, yeah, now you got your Benghazi here. And they're going to try to make it sound like, well, as a matter of fact, Jen Psaki, Saki, whatever you pronounce the P, was claiming that this was a success. And it reminded me of the Three Stooges. Remember when they success, and then they'd knock each other over the head with a wrench. It's not, and there's no way to really spin that, but they are trying to do it because as you get the numbers down, well, if it's only 50 or 100, and nobody cares about those SIVs, which is not a sport vehicle. It's special immigrant visas. But we had promised these people, and that's thousands of people that we promised, and forget about them. Because we're Americans, and we don't care, apparently.
The only similarity I can see to Benghazi is that in both incidents, the majority of the majority of the tragedy played out. Both presidents were sleeping.
Exactly. Are they going to blame this on Nakula? That's a Jeopardy answer for $1 million. Remember him? Do you remember that name? Nakula? He's the guy who made the video that caused the demonstration, the riot in Benghazi. Supposedly started that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jeopardy, and this is me at my best, going off on a tangent. So they got rid of the Jeopardy host before it even started. It reminds me of like when George Allen became the coach of the Rams or whatever and died before he actually got to coach a game.
I actually think they taped a couple weeks.
Oh, really? Those are going to be collector's items. Oh, that's going to be great.
They took them about a week, which you tape you tape a month in a couple of days in the game show business.
So how are they going to explain his disappearance? He's going to become a Jeopardy answer, probably.
Probably the same way that they're going to explain the disappearance in The Mandalorian in the next season. Something happened.
All right. So, I mean, even when you get a guy like Adam Schiff saying they're not going to make the deadline, I mean, he is the biggest stooge for the left, and even the New York Times, CNN. It's not looking good for Biden, but somehow I don't know. I think we'll lose our interest in all this, especially when we give all the pallets of cash that obviously are going to the. I mean, aren't they? I mean, isn't that a given that we're going to be doing that?
It was until today. It's I don't know if you're still gonna. I mean, it seems
why?
Seems like an agreement was broached, or maybe they didn't get there fast enough. Maybe it's one of those, it's like you take a hostage, you say, okay, we'll cut off one finger a day until we get the money.
I think we have a much higher threshold for losing soldiers. We don't like the idea of it, and we can't really wrap our heads around the whole thing. We just want it to go off, and go away and let the NFL season start. And it's interesting, as you mentioned, the Packers. Do you think it would be okay if, some quarterback this year if Pete Rozelle, whoever the commissioner is nowadays, would allow it to say "American Lives Matter" on the back? Do you think? I don't think so. Right? There are certain things you allow and certain things you don't.
Or how about this? In order to honor the lost soldiers, football players will stand up during the national anthem.
Oh, that's too much to ask. All right, coming up in the next segment, we've got Chicago talk show host Patti Vasquez, who's also a stand-up comedian. And we'll talk about the mask mandate with her.
Who should parents trust with safety measures for their children, the state or local school districts? Now, a lawsuit out of Clinton County going up in front of a judge today hopes to answer that question. The lawsuit centers upon a bill discussed earlier this year, which would have let the Illinois Department of Public Health and Illinois State Board of Education create enforceable guidance during an emergency. That bill passed in the state House, but stalled in the Senate. Now, despite the state's mandate, which aligns with CDC guidance, some Illinois schools are making their own rules and not enforcing masks, but this could jeopardize their state funding and ability to compete in state-sanctioned sports.
Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap, and we are joined right now by Patti Vasquez. Patti is the host of Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez from 5 to 6 p.m. on WCPT. That's what the Communist Party talks.
Chicago's progressive talk. The name calling is starting.
Yeah, let's go. Pie fight.
All right, then.
All right. So that's Monday through Friday, 5 to 6.
That's right.
So you're just getting revved up, and then the party's over, and you do the Carol Burnett thing, tugging your ear, and
that's
you're done.
Right. Leave them wanting more, I say.
Yeah. But so you want to expand on that, right?
Sure, why not? Love to.
Right.
Thank you.
You'd like to take over Joan Esposito's
Not
gig,
at
right?
all.
No, okay. I'd like a cat fight right now.
Oh, well, she would win. She's the pro. I'm just hanging out, riding on her coattails.
There you go. Well, I mean, I don't want you to lose another gig.
Fair enough.
No, you actually worked at WGN, which is a station that I filled in on a number of times. Like when Kathy and Judy were playing Mahjong in Lake Geneva one Friday, they had me, come in and fill in for them. So I did some fill-in work. But you actually had a gig, and what was like the old Eddie Schwartz gig?
It was overnight,
the overnight gig, where you talked to Bill Cosby in the wee hours of the morning.
Oh, wow.
That's
well,
what he
about
did.
Bill Cosby,
exactly.
Yes.
So, and then didn't you get disciplined because you...
I called the mayor in the middle of the night.
Yeah, what was going through your head?
No, it was
what
actually...
time in the morning were you calling Rahm Emanuel? He's got a beauty sleep. He would not... It stunts your growth if you don't sleep for 8 hours a day.
I had spent 6 months calling all kinds of electeds at 10 till 2 in the morning. It was called the Pretty Late Wake Up Call. And we were calling Republicans and Democrats. We had a budget impasse, if you remember, and I was asking them, how do you sleep at night? And the bit was, give me the number of the next person you want me to call, and someone gave me the mayor's number, and the station knew that we were doing that. But for appearances.
But then they had to.
Patti, we didn't know you were going to do that.
Really?
I've been doing.
Wait, is this the first time that has been told, or is that
I've told it, but I have. I called the.
So you actually weren't like a renegade. They were in on it with you, but then we're clearing out.
We'll have the FCC investigate this. I called Treasurer Frericks. I called senators and House representatives. Yeah, I called about the 30 or 40 electeds.
So you wound up having to apologize to the guy who got run out of town.
I
mean, Rahm Emanuel was. Oh, you never apologized?
Can I just say that I was asked to, and that letter probably got lost in the mail. Just saying. I don't think that ever arrived.
I mean, Rahm Emanuel, he was like, they talk about the voting rights legislation being Jim Crow 2.0. He really was Jim Crow 2.0 because he disenfranchised the black voters who might have wanted to vote for Chewy Garcia, but he squelched the Laquan McDonald
the video.
Yeah. So there you go. So who has to apologize for waking up?
That was the point. The point we were talking about gun violence and what was going on in our city, and we were like, how do you sleep at night? So apparently when somebody calls.
I agree with you. All right.
He probably slept fine after about 5 angry calls to people at the radio station.
Oh, he wanted to have me fired. But all the other legislators were like, what makes you more important than anybody else when she has these conversations?
Is he going to be the ambassador to Japan?
Japan.
Okay, so now you can call him. It'll be 2 in the morning for you, but it'll be 3 in the afternoon for him.
Well, and his office told him that he should just come to the station the next day, bring me a box of donuts and coffee, and be like, all right, what do you want? Let's talk. But he decided to the station got angry and doubled down too. So
I didn't know this. He's the ambassador to Japan.
Yeah, just this week.
So he asked the president, he said, I want you to send me to a place where people will think I'm tall.
Right, totally. Absolutely. Hi-oh.
Hey,
you got it. No. I was trying... where they were trying to find a slot for him. They couldn't find a slot for because he's such a persona non grata.
Find a shoebox.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Well, they cleared out the money that Paul Powell had. The $600. Do you remember? You don't even remember that. That's so many eons ago. I'm making political references from the 60s.
Oh, it's okay.
It's appreciated.
No, it isn't.
Adlai Stevenson wants to know how you feel about his run for president.
Do you know that Adlai Stevenson? It's interesting. Not the son who was the governor, but Adlai Stevenson was considered an intellectual, and Eisenhower was considered, like an adult. He only saved us with D-Day and everything like that. But they played him up as some sort of intellectual. But when he died, the only book they found in his room was the Social Register. He was not an intellectual. Adlai Stevenson. And take that, Adlai Stevenson. We're calling you up in hell right now.
Wow.
It's 2 in the morning.
I was going to bring that up and have him completely just slammed and post-mortem. Maybe he returned all those books to the library.
It could be. It could be. All right, let's talk about this COVID here thing. Today, Governor Pritzker announced that masks are going to be mandated for all state workers, whatever. He's already said that the kids in school. And Patti, and I would have voted you for state representative had I actually lived in the district, but I haven't lived in Chicago since 1958.
Right.
That there's no evidence whatsoever. And you can tell me to stop pointing at you.
It's okay. You point. Hey, I get all passionate about
Rahm
stuff.
Emanuel wishes he could point like that.
Right, he doesn't have a finger.
Wow.
This guy's killing us. He's 2-0 on Rahm jokes.
One meat slicer deli accident.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. But did he still serve the sandwich? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Well, give him the full Arby on that one. All right.
What can I prove?
There's no evidence that it helps kids. Masks don't help kids. Kids aren't getting COVID. They're not.
They are getting COVID.
How many kids are getting COVID?
In Illinois, the rate is now, we actually, in the country, we have the best metrics when it comes to children contracting COVID-19. States like Alabama, Georgia, Florida are at 1.2%. So it's not a high number, but 1.2, if you have a child, that your one child getting it is 100% in your household.
There are... that's the standard liberal argument. You shouldn't even take kids outside.
What is Illinois?
Illinois is 0.2%. 0.2%. So 0.2% of the COVID cases are children.
So it's below bicycle accidents.
Right. And I would argue that part of that is because we are at 61% vaccinated across the state of Illinois, and because we have had social distancing, and this is over the summer. We don't know going into the winter what it's going to be like.
It's getting low.
And children under 11 cannot be vaccinated.
Yeah, but it doesn't look. And I hate to. There are cost-benefit analyses which must be applied to things in this world. You have. Last statistic I saw was, 361 kids have died of COVID, okay? But there are 74 million children in the United States. So it's like Tim says when he's not making rum jokes and slaying us. It's the sober truth is that this is like a bicycle.
Riding a bicycle.
Yeah,
take bicycles away.
This is why I could never vote for you, even if I did move back.
Fair enough. Yeah. No,
it doesn't. It doesn't work.
I support mask requirements. I support the
I
vaccination.
know you do.
Yeah.
And I just gave you.
You saw me walk in with one. I was like, I guess we're all good.
And I went, oh no, here we
she's
go.
One of those. And it said social change on the side. I'm sure that had to make you happy.
Look, I'm Jewish, and last year, in the high holidays, the rabbi at a Reform synagogue was wearing a mask that said "vote," and I wanted to say, "You mean vote Democrat, right?"
My opinion has always been: if you have to be told that it's election day and that you should vote, I don't want you voting.
Well, nowadays, Patty's gonna tell you that it's
I don't know.
Jim Crow 4.0 if we don't have 24/7 voting at the 7-Eleven.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I know. Hey, speaking
good
of voting,
ideas. I like this.
Is it true that when you ran for state rep, and I hate to put you on the spot here, I'm sure you have an answer.
I'll take the gloves off.
But the name on the ballot was not your name.
In what way?
It wasn't. I was told. My sources informed me.
They told you that my name is Patricia Vasquez Bonin, because my brother was murdered by John Wayne Gacy.
Oh,
so when I started to,
oh my God, I didn't know that.
Well, then your people who were doing your research apparently didn't fill you in all the way.
No, but I mean...
So I changed my name when I
story.
became a stand-up comic because I didn't want that to be the first story I told people. But when you run for office, you're going in for a job interview and you tell people the absolute truth and why I changed my name. Because people were spreading rumors.
Yeah, but why couldn't you have your campaign ads said Patti Vasquez? And the reason I watched it because I wanted to be...
I did. All my campaign ads did say Patti Vasquez. The ballot had to say Patricia D. Vasquez.
Yeah, but that's the problem.
Hey,
where's the marketing? If you're going on TV and saying Patti Vasquez, when they get into the ballot booth, the voting booth, I believe it's called, you Americans. I'm sorry, I'm new to country.
No,
when they go in,
2020,
how do they know?
It's the 7-Eleven.
Yeah, how do they know? How do they know it's
it says
you?
Patti Vasquez on the ballot. It has the other. Unfortunately, it was the longest name on the ballot. It says Patricia D. Patti Vasquez Bonnet. It's a lot.
Okay.
It was,
right.
And it jumped
it's
out.
A little confusing.
Well,
but not as confusing as I thought it was. And then I also just got sandbagged on.
And you definitely got the vote for people that
which is terrible, which is horrible. That's horrible. I mean, I don't want to talk about. You don't want to talk about that. But
here, what happened was I would not
go to a break.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, we're out of time.
Well, if he hadn't been telling these Rahm Emanuel slurs, we would have gotten to the story. But we'll get to other things.
Oh no, yeah,
when we come back
Absolutely.
here with Patti Vasquez. Is how you pronounce her name. And it's the weekly wrap that we are on right now.
I became a communicator through my work in comedy and radio. Working in those arenas has tested my resilience and voice, especially as the daughter of a Mexican immigrant, as a mom, and a woman. I'll have a conversation with anyone, whether I agree with them or not.
Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. And we've got Patti Vasquez in the studio, and I would demur to that because so far after the first segment, I was simply lectured to. I did not have a conversation with her.
Boy.
I raised the point. I've got statistics up the wazoo here about how masks don't help children, and she just dismissed it with some question begging and all this kind of ad hominem and the like.
Oh, ad hominem and such.
So Patti,
yes.
You brought up in the last segment. I had no clue. First of all, I didn't even know how to pronounce her name.
Bonin or Vasquez?
Vasquez, because, I'd ask. You can ask Chris, our producer. I gave him like 4 possibilities for how to pronounce it. Is it Vasquez? Yep. Vasquez. So I wanted to make sure I got it right. So he then sent me the campaign ad. But then he said that in other times you pronounce it differently depending on the audience. No, or somebody else does.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, and I to be fair, I actually did say my name wrong, and I maybe sometimes do say Vasquez instead of Vasquez. My mother gets very upset about it.
I wanted to accuse you. Thank God you told me the story ahead of time, because I wanted to accuse you of just riding the Hispanic wave.
And that was why we came out with the story. That's exactly what the other candidate, and they knew because the opponent, her mentor, Robert Martwick, his dad made John Wayne Gacy a precinct captain, and he carries that card around with him in his wallet.
I know who Martwick is.
Yeah, so they started spreading rumors that I was trying to sound Latina by using Vasquez, even though I think Tim
would say Latinx.
Latinx, I say Latina.
Oh, is it Latinx?
I don't know. It's a X is a jote.
Wait.
As an Hispanic,
I want to know.
Do you care about Latinx, or do you think it's stupid?
I would not say stupid if people prefer it, but I say Latina, Latino, Latinos. Yeah.
Oh, you got the. You really actually have the accent.
So who prefers it? Have you actually met anyone that actually prefers
liberals? White liberals prefer.
If you,
I would say that's probably accurate. I would say more white liberals who feel like they are trying to make. I guess maybe some guilt, but in the Latino community, my mom's like, I guess I'm Latinx. I don't know. It's not a question mark.
I'm not allowed to do an imitation of your mother.
Of my mom? Sure, you can do an imitation of my mom.
I wouldn't do as good a one as you do, but you could probably do a better imitation of my grandmother, I got a feeling. Okay. So who does better ethnic impersonation? So, all right, you got to give us the short version.
Sure,
because,
of my family?
Yeah, of your brother.
My mom's from Mexico. My dad was second generation Irish. They met in his cab. They were both divorced with children from previous marriages. Okay. So my dad's ex-wife was raising their 3 children, and Mike, his youngest, disappeared when he was 16, when I was 4 years old. And my brother was discovered in the crawl space of John Wayne Gacy.
Unbelievable. That's horrible.
But look, it's something that most people don't know. You never expect that to be. No one ever expects it to be someone like me, But we are in the community. That's why I often am like, look, folks, be a little more sensitive. I have a friend who does ghost tours, and he does H.H. Holmes. I'm like, do you do Gacy? He's like, no, I have a 100-year rule, and that's
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I thought was fascinating. Anyway, you don't need to live in this awkward space.
Friend of mine was in a Milwaukee club.
Oh,
and somebody was doing
Dahmer jokes.
Yeah.
Dahmer jokes, and a family, like a couple, got up and walked out, and they said, what's wrong? Was something, and they go,
Well, that's the thing. I would never criticize. I never told any comics that they were doing material that was hurtful to me. I just would leave the room. I'd be a little disappointed, but I would never make somebody censor themselves. If that's what you want to do, it's fine. It's not fair to people think creatively. That's their jokes. It is what it is.
I know how to pivot from this.
Yes.
Censoring, you use the F-bomb on WGN.
I did not. I was a guest. Yeah.
Okay, so you haven't really done anything wrong ever.
Except report sexual harassment and abuse at WGN Radio.
Oh, there was sexual harassment.
I reported it on October 30th of.
Don't name names here because we don't have any insurance.
Yeah, and you probably maybe want to work in broadcasting again. So.
No, I don't. What do you think I'm doing right now?
Yeah. I don't think it's any
channel 59.3. Okay.
I don't think it's any
right
surprise.
After 59.2.
I'm sure you heard a lot about Jimmy DeCastro, so there's not. Yeah.
No. Jimmy DeCastro made my career.
So surprising.
He made my career.
It's so surprising.
Jimmy DeCastro made my career. Truth.
I believe
He came into my law office. It was smaller than this law office, right? Smaller, like half the size of this room. And he sold me on coming to the Loop. And I quit my law job.
That's great. Congratulations.
So Jimmy DeCastro was a blessing to me and a bane to your existence.
Not just mine. So I think that the stories are out there already. But here's the thing: they needed to have a reason. It was a guest. My mic was open during a news break, and you could hear the F-bomb during the news break. Right. So that's how I got fired.
Who did it?
It was Dave Lundy, my friend Dave Lundy. They knew that. Yeah.
So it wasn't you.
Sorry to disappoint you.
Right, this is really gone terribly. Because what happened, look, first of all, Tim's gotten the wrong jokes. Everything I'm attacking you with.
Yeah, and you're like,
you're Wonder Woman. Everything's bouncing off of you.
That's the only nice thing I can say about Lori Lightfoot, by the way. They didn't have to get a new podium.
All right, get out of here. Now, that's a canned joke. You knew that. That was from before.
And it's too bad she doesn't have his tailors, though. How long are those pants? Sorry, Bruce. I mean...
Thank God I have a day job. Okay. So, what else can we argue about?
Sure. We did masks. What was the other thing that you sent me?
I don't know.
Mask mandates.
Extremism in political parties. Having conversations with people who have different views, which I think that was supposed to be the segment. That's why we let in that way.
Right.
Is that Patti wants to hear from people who disagree with her.
I talked to everybody. I don't want to hear from everybody. I mean, truth be told, if I don't have to hear from progressives, that would be fine too. I mean, everyone's gotten too contentious and angry.
I'm pretty much an echo chamber guy. With great trepidation, I invited you here today. Actually, I wasn't even the one who did it.
Yeah, fair enough.
But
surprise!
But do you think that both parties are extreme?
They have extremists, absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't believe there was actually an insurrection at the Capitol, do you?
God.
The difference is.
I mean, you realize.
Did you think it was a tourist adventure of crapping in someone's?
No, but I mean, there was just a report.
I've never been on a tour where I've taken a dump in a legislator's office.
But that's not an insurrection. That's
oh my God,
indigestion.
Beating police officers with the flagpole and tasering them with their own weapons.
There were a few people who did that. There were a few people who did that, but the FBI or whoever it is, one of our alphabet
Bruce, I am so disappointed. I had no idea.
See, you don't even let me finish my point. In 1 second, I'm going to William F. Buckley punch in your goddamn face.
The FBI has what?
They have said it wasn't as bad as the liberals want to make it out to be. There wasn't some white supremacist plot to take over the government of the United States. Now, was there bad stuff that happened? Yeah, there was bad stuff that happened. I agree about that. I'm not a truther about that, but there wasn't an insurrection, and there wasn't a great plot. And Merrick Garland, who, by the way, graduated a year before I did from Niles Township High School. Yeah.
Oh, you grew up in Skokie?
What? Really?
I love that
Jewtown
area.
is where you call it on Jaime Town?
I love that area.
Sure. Right.
That's where Niles West is. I was just going by geography.
Yeah. Okay. Where did you go?
I went to Lane Tech.
Oh. Didn't you have to get into Lane Tech?
Yes, you had to get into Lane Tech. Where once you had good grades, you then had to hopefully not slice off your fingers in wood shop. It's very strange to put the...
See, now we have something in common. Because you weren't very... Well, I had to take shop in junior high, and we had to make a pig, a carving board, which, first of all, as a Jew in Skokie, I was insulted. But the shop teacher makes us do that, and everybody else did it with a little manual saw. I had to have the shop teacher rescue me and use the electric bandsaw to do it because I was so inept at it. But my mother, to this day, has that pig that I carved for her.
There you go.
And my wife thinks that I'm like psycho.
Is it 'cause
Mother!
Do you still have the pig?
She does, but you were not adept at that?
Or it's fine. I have all this. I made like a little sander made out of pine, and we have made a shield with all different kinds of wood. It's just scary to have a bandsaw and all the
Did
routers.
you envy us, those who lived in
the suburbs?
In $28,000 single family dwelling units in Skokie? Did you envy us?
Sure. I mean, I wish I didn't have to share a bunk bed with my dad, but let's go down more uncomfortable conversations. I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, and my mom threw my dad out because he snored, and then she threw me out because I sleptwalked. So she went to John. Remember John M. Smith?
Sure. I say
Smythe. Yeah. And she bought bunk beds and made us sleep in the dining room together. It was fun.
In the dining room.
It was only 1-bedroom apartment.
Who got the top?
I did.
Did you convert?
As a sleepwalker, not a great place to be.
Right. Did you convert?
They figured it would cure you pretty quickly, though.
Yeah.
Did you convert like the bottom bunk to like a dining room table? I mean, was it?
No, it was just like kind of a pass.
How do you have in the dining room? How do you have
the kitchen had the table? We had a kitchen table, and it was the living room, our bedroom, another bedroom, and the kitchen and a bathroom, and that's it. Just 4 rooms. Mm-hmm.
For how many people?
For 3 people and a dog.
Oh, that's not so bad. Where was it at?
Northwest Highway, Norwood Park.
Oh, right, exactly. Norwood
sure,
Park.
why not? Okay, remember where that is? Harlem and Devon, not far from the Super Dog over by there.
I get it. Harlem 7200 West.
There you go.
Let's do the. I can all the numbers. Give me the numbers of the streets.
What were you, a cabbie?
Well, my grandfather was a cabbie.
Oh, my dad was too. There you go.
Fullerton.
But I have no idea.
2400.
Nice.
2400. Okay. Name
Cicero.
a street. Cicero's 4800.
All right.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Belmont. I don't know.
3200.
Addison.
I got to make up for not having the rhyme jokes. 3600. I got all the numbers of the streets. 3600.
Well done.
Addison, change for the Ravenswood. No smoking or spitting. Yeah, I could do. Got the L conductor.
There you go. Well done.
All right. Well, that was a great interview with Patti Vasquez. We pronounced
Very
her name
political.
correctly.
Very political.
And I think we convinced her that the kids don't need any masks.
Okay, then.
Thanks, Patti.
Just a gator.
Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. And I know we're talking too much about Afghanistan today, but there's Peter Alexander, who's a reporter for NBC, and a couple of days ago, he asked Biden what he'll do if Americans are still in Afghanistan after the 8/31 deadline, and Biden's response was, "You'll be the first person I call." And it was just, I mean, he's so surly. Now, he apparently, with Peter Doocy today, he actually took some responsibility, so you never know with Joe. But I mean, if a liberal president loses NBC, he's on the ropes, and that's definitely a problem.
Yeah, I got my money on the 25th Amendment. That's
everybody keeps talking about that, but have you noticed anything, especially like last week? But this week, I don't know. Are we just getting used to it? Has he had any stumbles in the last couple of days? Has he looked worse than I do? I'm not so sure about that.
That depends on your definition of stumble.
There you go. And I'm having to learn too many terms like ISIS-K, and then there's this Haqqani network, which all I can think of is F Troop and the Haqqawi tribe. With Frank Dakova playing the Indian, which he'd be canceled now because he wasn't an actual Indian.
My favorite F Troop episode was Jamie Farr played stand-up bull. And he would go around from teepee to teepee telling jokes.
What a great show.
And the jokes were like, my squaw so fat, when she sit around house, she sit him around house.
Can't even say squaw nowadays. I mean, I had to throw out all my Land O'Lakes butter pats. It's so bad. So I have to confess a certain amount of ignorance. Charlie Watts died the other day. And if you'd said, who's Charlie Watts? I was, he was in the Stones. I wouldn't have known that he was the drummer. That's how dumb I am. My rock and roll idiocy. Now, I did write a parody of Jumpin' Jack Flash once called Dumpin' Norm Cash about the trades that the White Sox made in 1959 after that season.
Wow.
And got rid of all their good players. And actually, I aired that on WXRT like in 1978, which happened to be the last time the Stones were going to appear in Chicago. It was their farewell tour in 1978.
The first farewell tour.
And a WXRT disc jockey gave that tape of my parody to Mick Jagger, and he thanked him for that. I mean, that's a true story.
Wow.
That actually happened. Now, I don't think he actually listened to the parody about, the era of Frank Lane in the 1950s. But there's my ignorance. I didn't even. How you knew who Charlie Watts was, right?
Not really.
No, you didn't. Okay, I mean, no, I don't feel so bad.
No, I wouldn't have known if it wasn't preceded in the obituaries all over social media as Stones drummer.
Right.
If they would have just said Charlie Watts died.
Now I don't feel so bad because sometimes I feel like a real cultural idiot. We all have our pockets of knowledge, but I didn't know that.
The Stones, to me, I've never understood. The Stones are pretty much as old as the Beach Boys. But for some reason, the Stones have always been treated as a current rock and roll
they're
band,
eternally young.
While the Beach Boys are oldies music.
They're kind of like Bob Surratt. He's that hip kid who's always going to shake things up, as my former partner Dan Proft used to say. And he always is, and he never dies. And I don't want him to either. I mean, he's still got a job, like on WGN, the same station that Patti Vasquez lost her gig at because she dropped an F-bomb once. And also, she woke up Rahm Emanuel early in.
I remember that.
Yeah. Early in the morning, a guy got run out of town.
I was actually in the WGN studio when they got the memo about that they were in trouble.
There you go.
They were in a little bit of trouble for that.
Speaking of radio personalities getting in trouble, and I'd like to get in trouble. I'd like to challenge Pritzker the way Amy Jacobson did. She got Pritzker really angry. Let's listen to Pritzker right now.
Serious about this. I mean, I realize that there are people who like to show up and shout at local school boards, at the local school board members. But the reality is that the vast majority of people in Illinois want to make sure that the children of Illinois, their parents, their communities are safe, and having a mask mandate operative in schools, it will help to do that.
If you don't want, and that was like to a Amy Jacobson question, I think, and then the next day, Pritzker winds up shouting at her. He doesn't. It's not okay to shout at a school board meeting, but it's okay for her. Well, he didn't exactly shout, but he really got ticked off at her.
Well, he's a Pritzker.
Well, right. I mean, here's the thing. He's making people.
He grew up shouting at the maid.
if I would like to see Pritzker, good faith gesture, since obesity is the number one indicator for COVID, how about we shout at him, like that drill sergeant in a Full Metal Jacket or whatever, drop 200 and give me 20. How about that campaign? Drop 200 and give me 20.
Private Pugsley from here on out.
I mean, I realize, some of us are genetically predisposed to certain body mass index. I get it. But he could easily lose 100 pounds in a month or two with just cutting out a few desserts and things like that. And that would show the way, for the rest of the state. I mean, if you're making kids get masked, then there's absolutely no data to show that they need it. It's a myth.
Right.
At least he could do that.
And there's actually data that shows that masks are
deleterious.
Yes.
They could actually hurt the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, because little kids, they're actually going to observe, the 6 feet or 3 feet of social distancing that matter. But none of the studies show this.
I saw a picture of kids in a Minnesota school. They do the zombie walk.
Oh, really?
You put your arms straight out in front of you, so that then you can't touch the person.
That isn't going to hurt the children's psyches at all in the impressionable age
it's going to
raise 7 to 9.
It's going to raise a generation of zombies.
I mean, that's see, the great thing about this in Afghanistan is we can always put off till tomorrow and way beyond to find out what the effects of this stuff are. And that's totally American. Consider the national debt. Nobody's worried about that. Nobody's worried about the termites in the house. Nobody's worried about the fact that 10, 15 years from now, or even less than that, because we've lost faith or face in the world, that maybe China not only takes Taiwan but moves. And other countries become aggressors because, power abhors a vacuum, stuff like that there. But we don't, and same thing with the kids. Oh, yeah, 10, 20 years from now, they're all going to be on a shrink's couch, but it doesn't matter. We'll be gone.
I think the British still criticize us for our procrastination into World War II.
Oh, yeah, they probably don't. And that's another funny thing. Remember, it was the adults who were going to take over when Biden came in, away from Trump. And we were going to get...
Turns out we get the senior citizens.
Right. And we were going to get the respect of the world again.
Yeah.
And now that the world has turned on Biden, they're emotional. Parliament's emotional. France is emotional. Everybody else is emotional. No, they're scared. For one thing, they don't want all these refugees coming in. I think Greece has put up a wall. I think Trump's helping them put it up. They actually physically they're going to have to be accepting these people, and then you get the right wing, Marie Le Pen kind of people getting into government, and then that's a whole new can of worms as well.
That does not end well.
So
we saw that movie last century.
Well, we always pay for it. So life is even more complicated than a Rubik's Cube, and you just do that one thing there. And you're going to pay for it at some point. It might have been that $42 billion a year was actually a cheap price to pay for keeping the peace. And I know you're not in favor. You're in favor of us pulling out, right?
What? No.
Okay. Well, I'm surprised about that.
No.
You're a Gary Johnson libertarian.
Well, no, I'm in favor of us not. I'm not in favor of us not going in. But we've still got troops in the Philippines.
Right.
Over a century after the end of the Spanish-American War.
remember, there are still Japanese soldiers in the Philippines who still think they're fighting World War II. I saw that movie too.
Yeah, they're very old and feeble and use walkers. So it's
all right. This is the fourth week in a row I was intending to talk about Ted Lasso, and darn it, I'm going to mention it. All it is I just wanted to say
you're going to interrupt my story about Japanese soldiers with walkers trying to commit acts of terrorism for Ted Lasso. Is that what you're going to do?
I guess so. I guess it's my prerogative. No, it's a combination. It's a cross between Major League and the producers, because the owner hires him because she wants the team to tank to get back at her ex-husband. So it's kind of like, Max Bialystock coming up with Springtime for Hitler and hoping that the show tanks. And it's a lot of fun. And American comes out great. Jason Sudeikis versus these stuffy British people, which is what we need. However, one of the last episodes I saw was this Christmas episode, and I understand it's something unique to England, whatever. It was all frothy, and everybody loved each other, and I was waiting for the tension of the drama and the hate and the contempt, and it didn't exist. So I think people are actually turning on Ted Lasso now. It's not the favorite son of Netflix series, or if it is it on Netflix or is it Amazon Prime? I can't ever remember. But it's on to the next thing. So there you go.
There's a line from The Magic Christian where Peter Sellers paid off boxers to make out in the ring rather than to fight each other. And the last line is, apparently the fans were disgusted by the sight of no blood.
Yeah, there you go. All right, what do we got a bonus block coming up? What is it about?
I see Bruce doesn't read the rundown at all because he knows none of the clips that are coming up, and he knows none of what's in the bonus.
I have become Steve Dahl. Okay. That is the weekly wrap. Bonus block next. Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap bonus block. And it's time now for Wolf's World and Tim's Town, wherein Chris, our producer, reads us our tweets or whatever. Huh. And we do something with it. Right?
I love how Bruce is so vested in this show.
I like it. I like it.
This is where you guys love this segment because you get an extra set of laughs out of tweets that you posted, or your material gets
bombs again.
Yeah, or it bombs again. Now about this segment.
Why do I feel like Gary Owens right now behind this? Now it's suck it to me time. I'm also hiding behind this.
The ratio of...
Very interesting, but stupid.
The ratio of tweets I have to go through for Bruce versus the posts for Tim is about 1 million to 1. Tim vets his stuff. He's like a comedian. He probably tries to joke out on somebody in a private message. Does it work? Then he posts it. And then Bruce, I have to go through a series of retweets.
It's like rough draft theater for me.
It's the difference between a shotgun and a high-powered rifle.
I'm a volume comic. Yeah,
and I feel a lot of your tweets are just hoping that Andy McCarthy will notice them.
Which he does on occasion.
Which I am. Yeah. I don't want to say shocked by because that might offend you, but I am surprised that.
Well, no, I actually know Andy McCarthy.
Oh,
a little bit. No, new friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, and as usual, because of the volume and because Bruce's ego, we always have one or two more of Bruce's than Tim's.
Fine with me.
There you go. Fine. Okay.
Let's start with one that I love from Bruce.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this one. Well, this one is from August 11th, and it was a retweet of Dana Perino.
Okay.
And Dana Perino's tweet was, pro tip, you don't have to comment on every issue. And then you retweeted it with, but you do. And I love this because I cannot stand Dana Perino. I cannot.
What don't you like about Dana Perino?
Oh my! Well, she has zero knowledge of anything. And somehow stumbling into a job with one of the dumbest presidents ever as a spokesperson got you elevated to 2 shows a day.
She was James Buchanan's press flag.
She got taken. I forget who it was, but someone took her to task once about when she went off on some. She does not do any research. She's the Bruce Wolf of Fox News. I
was going to say that. I've always liked her on the Fox.
Really?
I think she's pretty good.
So she was.
Well, that shows me because
she was like re-embracing some of her times at with Bush.
and someone just went off on her about why don't you go tell more lies for George Bush about the Iraq War, and I just loved every second of it. So that was my one of my favorites.
What,
Bruce.
do you think Bush lied? People died? Are you one of those people? Bush Hitler?
Mission accomplished.
Bush Hitler? Okay.
So let's
yes.
Let's.
So you didn't really like the line so much as you hate Dana Perino.
It took someone to.
And that, by the way, that line was from August 11th, which, let the record show, is 16 days. About 16 days ago.
And I think that was because there are against the volume. I had to just the scrolling through the tweets.
No,
I think I got to the 16th.
Yeah.
But we're now going to go August 19th for Tim.
All right.
Facebook post. The question I wanted Stephanopoulos to ask Biden was, how much did the Taliban have to pay for Hunter's paintings?
You don't think there were a couple people with turbans and masks on at that art sale?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Very funny, Tim.
I like this one very much. I will call it "We Own Kabul."
All right, let's go back to Bruce's Wolf's World, if you will. Now we're gonna get Robert Feeder involved. So Jimbo the dog you are retweeting here.
But does anybody care who Robert Feeder? Do you know who Robert Feeder is?
I know who Robert Feeder is.
Oh, because you didn't know who Isis K was, but you did know who Robert Feeder is.
I still think it sounds like arthritis cream.
All right.
And this is another one I love because I dislike the person that you kind of scoff at in this one. Right. But the person
this is all like clapter from you. Clapping laughter portmanteau. You really don't find it funny so much as you're applauding because I'm on your side.
Yep.
Yeah, I get it. I think Tina Fey came up with that word, if I'm not mistaken.
There's a fist in the air for you on these, yes.
All right.
So Jimbo,
at least the fist is in the air. That's all.
Whoa!
Wait,
it's the bonus. It's the bonus segment. You're fine.
Yeah, right. Oh, we're okay.
And you'll see why this one also has to be in the bonus segment from Jimbo the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Good friend of yours, I'm sure, Bruce. What's with the snarky comments about Feeder in Channel 2? You got a hard on for these people? And you retweeted it with, yes, I want to be Ryan Baker when I grow up.
Exactly.
I also can't stand Ryan Baker.
I worked with Ryan Baker. He was the nicest guy in the world.
Seems like a nice guy.
Can I tell you a true story?
Yeah.
So I was working with him at Channel 5 at the time. Okay, and we had because Larry Ward didn't want anybody to have a higher profile than he does, and Larry's like about 5'1" or whatever, and he even admits he's got Napoleon syndrome. But I mean, he's totally honest about it. So I didn't want any one sportscaster to take over. So we had the College of Coaches that the Cubs have. Only we had it for sportscasters. So Paula Ferris did a day, and Ryan Baker did one, and I did one, and we just have this round robin thing. So one day I'm at home and I'm watching the sports and I see Ryan come on and I notice he's got this kind of surly attitude about the Bulls. And I'm going, hey, it's not bad. What does that remind me of? I walk in the next day and I see Ryan with Barry Holfelder, the producer, and they're going into an editing room. And I said, I saw you yesterday, Ryan, and it just reminded me. And they finished my sentence. They said, yeah, Ryan was imitating you, Bruce. He was doing you. And they said, yeah, we just realized that Ryan was trying to do you. Yeah, all right. So how can I not like Ryan Baker? Plagiarism is the sincerest form of flattery.
Now I like Ryan Baker.
Exactly. Yeah. I like Ryan Baker. Yeah.
To Tim's Town. I had to go back again. He does not a lot of volume, but July 29th. So this would be during the Olympics. Simone Biles' decision seems to be paying off. She was just offered an endorsement deal for Nicorette gum. No laugh, Bruce?
Wait a minute. This is really embarrassing.
Yeah. She quit.
Oh, it's a quitter thing. Yeah, right. Yeah, no. That is funny. I'm stupid.
It was funny.
Yeah, I'm stupid. No, I'm stupid. Yeah, a quitter. Yeah,
these jokes don't have shelf life.
Hey, look, no, it's not shelf life. It's that was New Yorker quality, and I just don't know what I can't even read the New Yorker. Oh, boy. That was good.
And now that I look at the ones I pulled for Wolf's World, there is seemed to be
we should rename this Chris's Vendetta.
So it's not really funny, but you hate the people.
This is all right. So this is again you retweeting Joe Concha of the New York Post. The Taliban kill women not wearing burqa after vowing to honor women's rights. And you go, that's a tough mask policy. Joke's okay.
Okay.
But my real question is, you're retweeting
I don't even get that joke. Yeah, go ahead. Just made it up.
Decent joke. But my real question is, do you respect Joe Concha as a media reporter more than Robert Feeder?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, I do.
I thought that would be the
Robert
answer.
Feeder actually does some good. He's like Cup. Okay, that's right. He's like Cup. Cup. He would get like the inside scoop maybe on who might be the next Blackhawk general manager. But he also got to use the Blackhawk yacht for his Purple Heart cruise. So you don't think he was ever going to be critical of the Blackhawk. So, I mean, there are trade-offs there. And the problem is that people hold themselves out to be journalists when, of course, they're just doing transactions just like everybody else. And that's what I think, I'm the Diogenes who walks through with my lantern through the media. Robert Feeder is like Juvenile who watches the Watchers, and I am the guy who watches the Watchers of the Watchers. So if you follow that, it's meta squared.
Yeah, how many Watchers?
Yeah.
Let's go to Tim's Town. Oh, how did this get in here? If you haven't heard, he has a TV show that airs on Channel 59.3 every Friday and Saturday at 9:30. It's called The Stand Up Sit Down. Whoa, I just somehow squeaked the promo in here.
Go right ahead.
And maybe also a lesson for Bruce to promote his show as well a little more.
I don't know how to do it because I don't know.
Because every time you do it, the information's
I get the information wrong. I can't remember it. I know it's somewhere between Channel 59.2 and Channel 59.4, but
there's
I'm
no
never
4.
really sure.
There's no 4.
There is no 4.
We are at the end of the line of 59.
We are the peak of Channel 59 lineups.
Yeah, all right.
All right, I have one more Bruce one here.
Okay.
And this is a very funny one because the visual is great on this. And it is... the Daily Caller tweeted Secretary Austin saying we don't have the capability to go out and collect large numbers of people. And you tweet it with, the buck variant is lethal. And I love this one so much because
the literal
what
variant?
The buck variant. Passing the buck.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can literally see, let's play the video here. You can literally see when the buck is passed.
Right, from one guy to the
We
next.
don't have the capability to go out and collect
Watch as the camera
large
pans
numbers of people.
If you can't see this, you watch the camera pan as the buck literally gets
distinction between extracting someone in an...
So that made
that wasn't intentional by me, but it works. Yeah. Okay.
How did you stumble into that good joke then with the actual great visual?
Sometimes you do that. It's serendipitous.
How did you stumble into that great joke?
It's like when
that wasn't too derogatory.
It's like when
he's admitting that he didn't
look. Well, I'm a volume comic. I'm like the 1,000 monkeys that you put in a room, and eventually they come up with Romeo and Juliet on the typewriter.
Well, it made me laugh.
One of my favorite Letterman lines. He said, "If you put 10,000 monkeys in a room with 10,000 typewriters, the stench would be unbearable."
That's right. No question about it. All right. So that's our bonus segment for today.
It is.
Great. I've totally run out of material as I did like 5 minutes into the show.
Well, you could talk about Matthew Stafford if you want because I'm on and I can talk sports with you.
The only thing I wanted to say about Matthew Stafford, which you poo-pooed when I brought it up, was there was an article about him. He's now with the Rams after having been with the Lions for years, and he was talking about how he wants to be on a team where they play a meaningful game. And I just thought, you're a quarterback in the NFL, and you don't think that anything you ever played for, with the Lions was meaningful. And he's probably right. But I mean, it's like he's in the position of us as fantasy football players, only he's really on the field throwing passes, and he knows what it's like for us in that masturbatory exercise called fantasy football. But now maybe he'll get a chance. That's all.
But he said, "I don't want to have to play those 1:00 games anymore." We can keep
exactly.
And does he realize now in L.A. the prime time, the 3 p.m. game is at 1:00 in Los Angeles? So,
totally. He's in a time warp. He doesn't realize it. Don't tell him. He thinks he's playing meaningful games.
And someone, which I also thought of Stafford. I don't think the Rams are going to do that well. But someone had called him Stat Padford because he would just care about his stats more than winning anyway.
Well, he had no choice. It was the fourth quarter. They were down by 3 touchdowns, and he threw for a lot of yardage. I get it. All right, are we done?
We got to squeak in some sports, Bruce. Yes.
Wonderful.
A little mouth organ on the way out. And